to do them every Tuesday. I think that's going to be our commitment, to get them in every Tuesday. And if we can come up with a specific time, we will, and we'll let you guys know the times that we're going to be actually doing the class. But so welcome back, those who are joining us, those who are listening to this later, and those who want to engage during the live session. It's always an honor to have people show up and add to the richness of the dialogue and conversation. And we are continuing to talk about twin flame. And it's because Pam and I have been really working on, I guess, diving in deep. And I think today we'll just kind of talk about our personal journey, why the twin flame is such an important topic for us, and what we want to do in terms of, this particular narrative or myth, if you will, or energy, whatever you want to call it. So, Pam, do you have anything to say to open up, or?
Well, good morning, Natalie. Um, I guess no, it's just seems like it's been crazy lately with the
Yeah.
myth in our personal lives, for
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
sure. Um, but no, I think it's definitely feels like a good alignment, and I think it just feels like time to kind of keep having these discussions, clearing away stigmas and misinformation and whatnot. So yeah, just onward and upward as always.
Yay. So something that, I think Pam and I want to talk about is kind of why, like, you guys have heard our backstory for those who listened about how did we come to the twin flame journey anyway. Like, I personally didn't even really know about the twin flame stuff until recently, because as you guys know, I'm more of a pessimistic person when it comes to true love and all this stuff. And so for me, I really thought, well, what is the twin flame? What does it truly mean? Why am I experiencing this twin flame thing? And really sitting deep with it within myself is recognizing that the twin flame scenario for me, and my personal account of it, is that I met an individual that actually ignited in me the dormant side of myself, which was the sacred feminine. It was a very masculine energy that radiated inside of me mostly. And the divine feminine never matured. It never had a chance to mature. So she was more of a cutesy little she was just cutesy. And it's crazy because even in having that little kind of cutesy little, um there was a sense of maybe manipulation in others as well, being able to use that energy to kind of get what I want, or
Mm,
to not
absolutely.
face the masculine that was scary to me, right? Like the wounded masculine, or that energy that was very angry and would want to go to war and stuff like that. I would just be like, oh, look at me. And then it was like, oh, I can't be mad at this one. But the reality being is that I never was able to fully embody my goddess part of myself. So
Mm,
I was very good at doing the masculine stuff, and I still am. Like, it is a strength that I have. However, in finding inner union, my I guess what I would call my twin flame, not that we have to be together, and I'm recognizing that now, and I think that totally is the misconception, that you have to be with this person, it's your person, it's no, what I think is that they sort of ignite the parts of you that need to be healed so that you can find inner union within yourself, right? You become whole within
totally.
yourself.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where I'm at. I'm at the place where I was like, oh, now it's time to really take on this goddess energy, um, and really be able to express myself, because whenever I was upset, it was always fire, right? I was like, whatever. Instead of like, how can I transmute this energy using that divine feminine grace? Excuse me, stop a cough. So how can I do that? And so that's kind of where I'm at. What about you, Pam? What would you say is going on with you in your kind of twin flame scenario?
Um, well, I definitely resonate with what you're saying about, like this. shock or spark or whatever, this ignition of like this awareness of this underdeveloped unconscious kind of energy. And for me it's the opposite, right? Naturally so it was the masculine that I had to like discover and heal um as my feminine like healed and integrated and all of that. So I would say right now I feel at a place where I never thought I could reach, first of all. Like, so that's beautiful. I feel like that gives hope to a lot of people. Because yeah, it can be really heavy, right? So I feel like I'm definitely at a place where I have my power. Like I feel fully just embodied in the goddess energy like you talked about, while in balance, in harmony with my masculine, in a really good relationship, with my inner feminine, inner masculine. They know how to like show up and support each other, and how to, have this beautiful relationship that just works for my potential and my benefit. Um, and with that, it's just welcoming a lot of like new beginnings. I feel like I'm at a phase where it's a whole new world. I've gone through multiple like deaths and rebirths for myself, but this on that rebirth end is like, you're coming out into a whole new, a new life. So I'm really excited for that transformation and transition. I agree with you that the narratives about other people and just having, fulfillment in relationships and whatnot, it is part of like the heaviness of the illusion and the work that has to be gone through. And then, culturally, the collective energy ties into that and whatnot. So it's a really complex web that I feel like I'm able to untangle with just more self awareness. And there's no attachment. There's no attachment to like what is or emotions or thoughts. It's just separate, observational, like, oh, okay, that's what the purpose is. Oh, that's what that was for. And then just moving on, like, organically and with contentment and happiness.
Yeah, I kind of like that observational piece of like really kind of understanding. So for me, is like what came up was like integration. That once you start to integrate, you start to realize that there is this bigger kind of narrative that's surfacing within the twin flame myth, and what it actually means for us as a society, as humanity. And it's a reimagining. It's funny because I was listening to Dr. Chelquist. He does some great videos, right? And I think he'd be a great person just to have maybe on the podcast, actually, because he's a dreamer like us. And I think he had, well, I'll lead up to this, but he had put a post about kind of like the polarities we're having within the American political system. And I wrote him a message because he's like, well, we need to reimagine. I said, no, reimagining or having them reimagine is not, I don't believe, going to fix it. Like, we have to create something new. And I can't stress that enough. Absolutely. Because I said, I was just telling my friend this morning, I'm sick of hearing myself say it, but I say it over and over. We have to reimagine something new. And so he did talk about, I don't know if what I said kind of resonated with him, because then all of a sudden he put up this video that was like, I think I'm going to start a group to help reimagine what's possible. Like this, I don't want to say it's a new narrative, but it's a new way to look at an old narrative that needs to be resurfaced. Yes. That's probably the best way that I can say it. Yeah. And it's integration. Yeah. And it's integration of these two very sacred principles that we hold. Now, some people will say, the problem is that we say that there's this duality between the feminine and masculine. It doesn't matter if we have done that. The narrative is here for a reason. Like, for some reason in this dimension, we see things as polarities. Yeah, absolutely. That is the three-dimensional thinking, right?
Right. Well, it's a universal law.
It's a universal law. Um, it is a universal law from our perspective in this three-dimensional time space,
Right.
right? because
Right.
because because how do we know, right, beyond that is what I'm saying. So here, I think in order for us to get to a different dimension, we have to integrate the polarities and recognize that
Oh
that's
yeah.
what we're dealing with,
Yes.
that's what we're dealing with here in this
Mhm.
particular timeline
Yes. And
or
I would
this
say,
dimension.
yeah,
Yeah, go
and I
ahead.
would say to that from personal experience, the key that I have found to that integration of polarities is through paradox. When you have come to like
Correct.
paradox and there's
Correct.
internal conflict,
Mm-hmm.
that's where you need to
Yep.
find resolution and
Yep.
integration and a way
Mm-hmm.
forward. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
The paradox is the
Mm-hmm.
key.
Yep. And there is paradoxes, and that's fine. So we know that there's a paradox. There's no absolutes that we can come to. I think if there were, science would have been like, hey, we found this absolute. There is no absolute, right? There's always
Right.
this like paradox where everything and nothing exists and they can't understand it, right? Um, and so, for us with this particular timeline, this particular dimension, I think as a way forward, the twin flame myth holds so much power in supporting us into that next phase.
Hmm.
At least
Yeah,
from what I see and what I believe.
absolutely. No, I
Yeah.
agree. Yep, I
And
agree.
it's weird because, you know, because we as so if you look at us, right, it's like we see these divine principles, and I think what happens with individuals is that we see the external of feminine and masculine as gendered, right?
Yep.
And I think where some of the confusion's coming from is like, well, but I hold both energies, and it's like you do, but in order for humanity, in order for our species to survive in this particular realm, right? If we wanted to stay in this particular realm, there has to be um, a union between man and woman coming together to create the third. And so they come together, right? Now, science
Yeah.
would say something different. Of course, obviously, people say, well, what about, we can just freeze sperm and just do whatever we want and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, that's absolutely true. But you still need an egg and a sperm. That's still the joining forces coming together. So it doesn't matter
Yeah.
if it's held within the
Well,
womb or not. You still
that's
need this thing. Huh? Go ahead.
yeah. No, no, I was just gonna say, well, that's like the symbolic, physical, representation of whatever that looks like on the spiritual side, because
Uh-huh.
that's the symbolism of the Trinity, right? To
Yep.
becoming
Yep.
one, is a very, very powerful symbol.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
go ahead. I
And
didn't
it
mean to cut out though.
No, 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 no. You're not cutting me off at all, please. So in two, there is three. So which is
Mhm.
really kind of that's awesome, and it's true. In two, there is three, and so I think the paradoxes and the duality and integrating, learning how to integrate and honor both sides, is kind of is where we're at in civilization and society, especially here in America. um, and so, reimagining together, and that's kind of what Dr. Chelquist was talking about. How do we reimagine together? And he
Yeah.
finally said something that I was like, thank you for saying that finally. And he probably has said it before, but I only heard it this time. We have to do it together. We can't reimagine
Yeah.
alone. This is not and I think I've said this a billion trillion times. It has to be together in community. Like we can't build you know, a new
Hmm.
community by ourselves. Like it's just not one leader leading the pack. It's not how
Right.
anything started. It was a group of people, a group of individuals who can see a vision together and create and co-create together. Um, and
Mm.
so
We
that's, I
need that
think,
pack mentality back.
yeah, and we do. We
And
do, but
that's
it's
the thing, the collective consciousness, like we're all linked regardless. And so the more we can like kind of come together in these small little groups, like we're causing a bigger ripple effect in the collective consciousness. And I think that's why so much shadow is coming up, because more people are kind of ascending, they're vibrating and
Mhm.
raising their frequency through the shadow work, through the healing, through the alchemical process. And so, yeah, if you think about that as like, the collective sympathy of like this orchestra, what we're all creating and where we're in tune and out of tune. So absolutely. I think it's exciting realistically. Like it doesn't need to become overwhelming and scary and feel like this like unimaginable task. I think it is just connecting your thoughts and your heart with intention into like the collective wave, because then once it's out there, it's going to start manifesting. It's other people are going to tap into that and feel that. And that's where we need to like kind of go and raise ourselves into a state of being when we think about and start planting these seeds.
That's correct. And eventually the vision will come to life, right?
Mhm.
Eventually.
It has to.
And
It
so
has to shift in a
yeah,
way.
and it will, and it's us reimagining, re-seeing life through a new lens, right? Not circulating the same old narratives. So I think it's timely that maybe Dr. Chalk has come on and kind of give his insights as to what it is. He's wanting to start a group. I think it'd be great to have him on and provide that opportunity for those who want to be part of his group. um,
Yeah.
and see where that goes in terms of reimagining. I know
Yeah.
for us, where we are, because I told him we are have a collective community coming together, and we definitely want more individuals involved. It's going to take a lot of us to come together. But the cool thing is that it started off with two, and now it's four, right? And I think that's a really good number. It's very foundational. As we
Mm.
build the foundations, right, it'll start to hopefully exponentially be part of it. And I think that's what the twin flame offers, is this exponential growth potential, for the collective to actually come in.
Yeah.
Because again, if we're seeing two and two and two, and those two manifest another two, right? And those two manifest another two. It just keeps on growing into full potential. But I feel like for us, and what I like to talk about, I know today we wanted to talk about kind of what we're doing and
Yeah.
how we feel like we can at least start somewhere. The vision itself of the twin flame is so huge. I don't think that people truly understand the power of this particular myth and
Yeah.
narrative, um,
Yep.
and what it means for the collective. So for us, we have to start off small. And I know with us, with Women of Consciousness, we are working with first coaching, is the first thing that we're doing. And the coaching really is to get that individual story and narrative so that we can help people move along their twin flame journey. And that coaching, now we're specifically looking for women, right? And that's
Mhm.
kind of our target, is women who are have maybe chased love or looked for love in all the wrong places and are looking to love themselves, are really wanting to learn to love themselves and work on their self and work on their own personal integration.
Yeah.
Now that's not to say other people won't fall in. Don't worry. We're not just thinking about the women. Our men are important as well.
Mm.
And so that is, we will work with men as well. But our reach is women to start. And that's kind of our starting point, not our ending point. It's just a start for us. So we are looking for women who are wanting coaching around this and really understand what the twin flame is, what does it mean, and how it can be integrated, or how you can be back integrated into union within yourself, and
Mhm.
that journey, and what it
Right.
means to be in that journey within yourself. fully. So tell me what you feel, Pam, or what you have to say.
Um, no, I agree. It's definitely about right doing your own healing, your own potential for sure, tapping into like this higher sense of essence of self. And it's about helping people heal and evolve, right? Like we know that we're here with a mission and a purpose as a soul, and we're in alignment with that. We're in a place of service to others. It's not for greed or cashing in on a trend or anything like that. We have you know I think just through our love for psychology and archetypes and myth, that has kind of been this underlying beautiful energy that's moved me and helped me discover that I'm not just a human being meant to wake up and work and come home and be drained by a system and have nothing to give back, or to waste my potential because I don't know how to overcome basic wounds and traumas, because I was never really taught how to have relationships. You know what I mean? So the whole system is just screwed up and messed up. There's so much that has to be done. I think when you accept this mission, when you accept initiation of healing and really dive into that, because I think a lot of people get stuck at that gateway, right? They don't want to cross that threshold. They don't want to enter that realm. They would rather suffer outside the gates and whatever state of being they're in, because going through the actual process of healing, can be painful. But when you go through and when you accept and embrace that, you do get to the other side. You know what I mean? So I think that's the question it comes down to, is like, do I really want to be more for me? You know what I mean? Do I want to give myself, this love and this appreciation and this new view of life and this new relationship to the universe and myself and all of these things that really end up being part of the gift and the reward. So yeah, I think, like you said, we have a lot of different areas of interest and things to offer, and we want to, this myth, this story, it's different for each person, but at the bottom line of it, it's about the individuation process, and it's about union. We have to do it on an individual level to be able to heal the past and collectively move forward. It's just a bigger purpose. At this point, it's part of the universe's plan. It's not even a human plan. And we're just tapped in and aligned to that.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I said, it's a way forward. It's not the way. I'm sure other people are getting glimpses of something bigger as well.
Oh, absolutely.
But this one is for like community or people who are called to this twin flame scenario, because what does it mean to fully embody the twin flame? What does it mean to fully um, walk down the path of what the archetype is trying to express, what is needed? And I think on my story, my journey, I've learned a lot about, like I said, my own self, my own internal healing, and what that actually means to be able to come into union with self so that I can fully support humanity. This heart wouldn't have been healed because, through the journey or through my journey, even if you go back to these older podcasts that I had done in the past, you'll see that there's this evolution and expansion of consciousness. There's never a full attachment to just one thing, right? There's, again, the paradox. You have to find where the paradox is and then learn how to balance between the paradoxes. That's usually what happens. So understanding that, right, and walking that path, you will see that a lot of the discovery was leading me to this particular point in time where it was the twin flame scenario where I didn't understand, I didn't even know about it, and I was rejecting a lot of that. Like, first of all, rejecting relationship with the man. That was a big part of it, where I even yesterday, we did I did this train or not training, but I did a I don't want to say a training. It was more of like a seminar, if you will, workshop, I guess. And
Mm,
in the workshop, we talked about nutrition, but the other lady who was there to present, she talked. She was a life coach, and she brought us back to the wheel of life. For those of you who've been in that industry, you know what the wheel of life is. Um, and it was funny because it has relationship on there, and I crossed it off and put spirit. And and the reason why, it's not because I rejected relationship altogether with men. Like I never focused on it, was never in my mind or whatever. And it doesn't matter this, because it's not about relationship, but something triggered in me with an individual that I didn't understand. And on my podcast prior, there was a lot of rejection of the possibility of ever even being in a relationship, which I'm not opposed to at this point in my life, because whatever will be. But it's
mhm,
not something that I'm actively looking for or ever have, because my archetype and the energy that I hold has never been very interested in that to begin with. It's never been part of my narrative. My narrative has always been about internal healing and helping humanity to elevate, to ascend, to help people who are ready to move into their next state of experience or consciousness, to expand. And that's
mhm,
always been my mission since I was a little girl. So I never was like, hey, I want a relationship and ooh, woo, woo, gaga, that. However, because I was very closed off to the possibility of that. And
mhm,
that's not good, right? So the possibility still does exist, right?
mhm,
And I think, because if you look at like a lot of these religious practices where they're like, you have to be celibate and stuff, like it never works out, right? It's very bad to be just one sided on one thing. You just can't. It's like too extreme, right? So, and we see that, and I'm not even going to name religions where that just went terribly wrong for a lot of people, right? You
yeah.
can go back and do your own research on what religious sects that just made the priest be celibate and what happened. However, were they really celibate? Well, okay. So moving along on that, let's just avoid that conversation, because I think people already know what I'm
It's
talking about.
always a rabbit hole.
Is that for myself, I had to really understand, how this triggered. What was triggered inside of me when I met this individual, and all of a sudden I was willing to like be in full on relationship with this person. Like I felt connected, and then when they left, right, because in the twin flame scenario, the embodiment of it, the human experience of it, is that we feel totally torn when that person leaves. And we feel like we can't move on with our life, and that's how I felt. And I'm like, why? I've never experienced this. And that's what led me to the twin flame. Now most people are led to the twin flame scenario, but now it's circulating as this popular
Mm,
idea, and it's sort of been bastardized and misused with individuals and stuff like that. And so for me, really trying to understand what it is,
mhm,
and what this archetype represents and symbolizes,
mhm.
it became evident to me that it was a journey of self-healing, and showing me my traumas that were still unhealed.
Absolutely.
um, and
And I
so
think
and
that's why
so
it's coming up, from in the collective now. Cause like you said, that was my experience. Like I never had any knowledge or awareness. It was something the universe literally dropped into my lap. And intuition is like, oh, what's that? I'm kind of interested and curious. Let me dive down this path. Holy crap. Like, didn't know what pill I was taking there.
Yep.
Like, right? You can't ever go back. Um, but absolutely, and I've asked myself that, right? Like, why was something that was this kind of I don't buried. I will say like buried knowledge, just ancient wisdom or whatever. Like that was just kind of this story or archetypal energy, like that was just kind of like buried. That now is coming up, and if you notice, it's coming up through the shadows,
Mhm,
realistically. Um,
mhm.
so you gotta go from the darkness to the light for sure. And I think that's what we're helping to do with, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's helping movie people move along their journey, both male and female. Again, we're starting very small. We so here's the deal. People who come on and listen, this will be for them, right? Is that if you feel like you need some coaching or whatever, Pam and I are working only exclusively with a very few amount of coaches. And the reason why is because we want to give all of our attention and time to the individuals who are ready. We don't want to take on and water down the experience. And so it is a very kind of exclusive set of individuals that we want to start working with to begin with. And that's just also for our own mental sanity because it's a lot of work, but also because we want to give quality um, healing and support to those individuals who become our coachees. Um, and so we're really looking for individuals who are ready to take the next step, ready to heal themselves, ready to take on their journey. Individuals who are going to be fully prepared to take on the journey. And so it's not for everybody. Not everybody is ready. I've done nutrition for a long time. I'm a nutrition coach for those who may not know. And I can tell you that I will not take on clients that are not ready. We don't want people to waste their time and money. We want people who are ready to invest in themselves, people who are going to get something out of it and really truly take something away and start living their life, their purpose. Because I have taken nutrition clients on, and I can tell you right now that I've had clients who will pay the money and just take off. And I'm like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
I don't even feel right for individuals that do that. So, I don't want people who are like, this is too much. I can't do this. They have to be prepared. And I know we're calling in those individuals um, that are really ready for a journey and a very exclusive journey to start with. We're not taking on, like I said, we're not taking on a lot of clients at this point, very exclusive amount of clients, to make sure that everybody is 100% feeling getting out what they need out of it, and starting to build this small community of individuals who can support each other as well. So that's kind of where we're at in terms of that. Do you have anything else to say in terms of like the community, what we're building?
Um, well, I mean, it's a pretty big vision because we're working on legacy here going forward. So I would say the foundation is really being built, and that's where we're making sure it's solid, right? We're coming in with our values, with our integrity, noticing shadow, working with shadow for sure. Um, no, working alignment with the heart and the mind. It just feels really beautiful. And I would say because of that, opportunities and alignments are coming easily and organically. It just feels like alignment and synchronicity is all around. I feel like the messages from my own personal like spirit, team is definitely helping me like move forward and knowing, right? Because when ego gets caught up in the day to day, it's nice to have that balance. But I think in the terms of community, and going back to what you said earlier about like reimagining, right? Thinking about we're getting creative in our thoughts and daydreaming and having fantasy. That's realistic though, right? And is forward moving. So I think with that, I'm excited for what we're building and creating more than anything. I'm excited for like our ideas and our intentions. And this is really just the beginning. We're going to have so much more to come and to offer. Like we're currently working on a website right now so we can really start getting services and things listed. And I'm excited for that. Hopefully that will help again, branch out community being able to offer a space for collaboration, because we both know, right? We've networked and met amazing people. So there's a lot of people that we want to bring into this space and bring to our audience and help, because maybe we don't have everything, right? But we definitely have others in alignment who have gifts and talents and vision that will help, again, strengthen where we are. So I think it's definitely a time of moving beyond the individual kind of wounded, codependent energy of self and really focusing on, like, family, friends, those things, but the bigger picture of it, what are we doing? Like, what are we really doing? If you just sit down and take a minute to look at the structure of the world we are in right now, like, it has to change on an individual level as that domino effect. And that's what I'm hoping, that we can become a more global community of just support and love. Yeah, for sure.
Hi, Annie girl. How are you? Is it Anime? Oh, Anime girl. Anime girl? Sorry. I thought Annie is my vision. um, so yeah, I think with the individuals who show up, we are here to fully support you and help you through the narrative of the twin flame. Again, we will get on and do podcasts to support. But again, we are offering coaching as a starting point for the bigger collective, and eventually trainings and all that kind of stuff, just to help people to really heal, because the shadow always does show up in this particular on this particular topic, in anything, right? Shadow being there are some groups who have totally misused the, and I don't even know if I want to say misuse, maybe they've exposed what the shadow the twin flame looks like, and what it could potentially become if the shadow were to take hold of this narrative, which they kind of have. And it gets all sorts of crazy, right? And misalignments with individuals and stuff like that. And we're here to restore the sacredness of this particular archetype, and what it has to offer to the world, but really looking at shadow and healing through it, right? And the biggest one that I can think of right now is our shadow to think we need somebody else outside of us to feel complete. That right there is a very it's a lesson. And I say shadow because if you're looking for people externally to fulfill you internally, you are you oh, I'll answer your question in just a second. If you're doing that, it is going to surface the shadow triggers within you, because you'll never be satiated or satisfied. We cannot be satiated as an individual by looking out into the external world. Satiation comes from our internal union, not the external union. So that is the biggest key to recognizing, right, and understanding, because there's been a lot of sorry, a lot of information out there that is just a little bit misaligned. And I wouldn't say misaligned. I would say it's revealing the shadow side of this particular narrative, basically.
Yeah.
Would you mind me asking a question that you are recording podcast? Yes. What is your question? Is your question, are we recording? This will be put out to the public, if that's what you mean. Yes. So you can go back and listen to it all if that's what you're asking. I don't know if Anime Girl left. Okay, so but yes, this is recorded, this is live, and then it'll be out into the public so that it can be listened to. Obviously, we want to make sure that people have this information. So again, if you have or know of anybody who needs to hear this message, please share it with them. And let them know that we will be available for coaching. Again, we have our website will be coming out soon. We're really working to develop that. That's kind of the next phase for this. And, and then we'll scale up, but I think we're going to start really small and exclusive, like we said before. So we're only taking on very limited coaching clients at this point, and we are harmonizing and looking for individuals who are serious about doing the internal work and finding inner union within themselves. So that's our goal, and hopefully, you guys, if you know anybody, have them reach out, to womenofconsciousness@gmail.com. They can email us, and we can set up a discovery call to begin with if they're interested. And so, Pam, do you have anything else to add?
Um, no, it's like blank space on this spot.
That's okay. Yeah, no worries. No worries.
um, no, I just really want to say that I'm grateful to you, honestly, more than anything. Like I'm just grateful for this whole journey together. Um, and to take this opportunity and just say like, twin flame soulmate. It's kind of like this term of where we're at. Me being like, much more of that feminine healing the masculine, you being in the masculine healing the feminine. Like we are those opposites. We are that duality. Even our zodiac signs of you being grounded in earth and, earth was what I was lacking and had to learn to master, in the, earlier years. So we complement each other really well. We have that harmony, that balance. So I feel like we fully, truly embody like our business, everything that we have come together and create. It truly is like our heart and our soul in this union. It's our shared lived experiences. It's, authenticity with our audience because that's what we want, right? It's about storytelling and dealing with archetypes and myths and getting really raw into the psychology. And going beyond, I think what just stuff is right now for like marketing or business, like you know what I mean, those kind of things. And I'm grateful for that because I can't function that way. And so that just sets me up for failure in our system because like I don't yeah, I'm just not wired like that. So I'm just in a state of gratitude and appreciation. And I'm just excited. I'm excited for all the stuff that we're developing and planning. I'm ready to share that with other people, to pass on, right, that legacy of wisdom, just really guiding others and helping them. And that's what it just comes down to at the end of the day, more than anything, is like finding this passion and this purpose that's guiding us and just trusting and surrendering in the process, and knowing, right, that the universe will provide. We're going to give back some beautiful guidance and abundance. And I think that's the bigger picture of what people need to know. It's possible, like twin flame relationships. This is a twin flame business partnership that works so beautifully because we did the work. We went through the wounds and the freaking pain and we made mistakes and we weren't perfect, and we dealt with shame and guilt and blame, all of those ego heavy shadow energies. And we still acknowledge that they're always going to be there, but there's a golden shadow. And that's your potential, that's your self-value and your self-worth. And that's where that shadow needs to be expressed and explored and embraced. And I don't think that shadow is brought up enough,
Yeah.
sometimes too. So I just want like our audience to recognize, like, that's our true goal and vision here, is to help you integrate your soul, with your psyche, so you can come into this beautiful harmony and then go out into the world and just ripple that energy and make it a better place. And one by one, that's how we link up like a spider web, in this electromagnetic grid. And that's how we like shift stuff. So maybe like, we need to get more in touch with nature and our spirituality. We need to go out under the stars and maybe question existence a little bit more, and get out of this 9 to 5 soul sucking, think I need to do this or be that, for toxic relationships. And I think that's something we really should address too coming up, is toxic relationships, because that's
Mhm.
all there is, the majority.
Mhm. Mhm.
And people try
Mhm.
their best, they really do. Like, some people are so blinded by the subconscious of what manipulation and, power and control looks like. um but that's what we're all healing, is that toxic relationship with ourselves, with others. um
Mhm.
and so, like, yeah, I'm gonna, like, now that I'm on a roll here, just going off on my soapbox.
No, it's
But
not a soapbox. It's a podcast.
right. Exactly. But that's where the passion comes in, like, I'm all fired up, and, like, I love it. And this is what we do for each other and with each other, and this is our purpose. Um and so we're going to keep showing up for sure. We're going to keep creating, and we're going to keep offering and giving things back, and the right alignments will happen. And
Uh-huh.
that's our point right now, is that we're opening that space. We're opening that
Correct.
space to give, and we're opening that space to receive. And that is beautiful. So thank you.
No, I love it. I love what you said that, there's this twin flame soulmate thing. And I think that's kind of how, that's how we heal,
Hmm.
continue to heal, especially if our twin flame is not doing the work themselves. It's fine. Maybe it's
Yeah.
not their lifetime to do the work or whatever, which is fine. But they
Right.
did ignite something, with the twin flame scenarios, that you ignite something in them, they ignite something in you. And that's that you can't take it back.
Yeah.
Once it happens, there's no taking it back. But
Yeah. Those
one
bonds
may
are
not be.
unbreakable.
Yeah, and all you can hope is that the person that did awaken that part of you is doing their work, and maybe it's just not
Absolutely.
with you, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. We want them to be doing the work, because at the end of the day, all they're doing is trying to find that union within themselves. And that's all we want. It's not about ending up with this person. I just have to stress that. It's not about ending up with the person. It's about you guys being able to heal and integrate that wholeness within yourself. So what we can do
Yes.
is pray, wish, and really focus on healing ourselves in hopes that
Mm,
they're doing the same for their life, and just
mm.
sending out those positive vibes.
And
But
I
in the
would say,
meantime,
like, honestly, tapping. Oh, sorry. I was
no,
just
go
gonna say,
ahead.
adding to that part, just the tapping into the heart space too. That I think that's the hard part, where ego gets caught up, where work can't be done, because the physical separation and all of what can't be said, and that's where you just need to go into, like, the heart space, and you can send healing, you can send love, you can send compassion and forgiveness, not only to yourself, but to the twin that's on the other side of the heart chakra cord, because that golden thread can never ever be cut. I've tried. I've done hundreds of rituals. Like, you can't. So but you can send healing, and the more healing that you do on your end, like, they're impacted, right? That quantum entanglement. So definitely, like, it can, you can do things, I think, that will be beneficial for everybody, and then, at least with that love and beauty, move forward, onward and upward.
Yeah, so I think doing, as what Pam said, is that there's that soul, twin flame, soul sister, soul connection, soul mate, however you want to describe it, is that these other souls will come in to help you through the unification journey. If your twin flame isn't showing up, because they're probably not going to, because their journey is about finding their own internal union as well, and
Yep.
that's probably not through you. It's not through you, it's through their own self journey and self healing. So they're going to go off in their direction doing what they need to do, hopefully, fingers crossed, um, while you're off in your direction doing what you need to do, fingers crossed. Right. um, that the individuals are starting to do that and wake up to that internal union that needs to happen. I used to always say the sacred feminine and masculine energies that we heal within ourselves or whatever. And I think that people, they kind of understand and maybe not understand it, which is the whole spiritual alchemy, right? But but the internal union is really, are men welcome in this room? Yes, of course, men are welcome in this room. I know, as a women of consciousness, and the men are like, absolutely. In fact, we love to have men in the room. And because for us, women of consciousness we wouldn't be women of consciousness if we said no men allowed. What consciousness would be there? Denying a whole species into the room. Um, but no, we stand with, and work with, and absolutely love our men who are doing the healing work. And if you're
Mm.
compelled to work with us as women, as a man, we're open to that as well. Just so you know. So yeah, please come into the room. There's no like, oh, man bashing or something. No, that wouldn't be very
No,
conscious. I don't think we could use the word consciousness in that case. It would be like, well, very conscious. Um,
you're very wounded
yes,
still.
very wounded. Yeah,
Separation. No, we're all
woman of
about
woundedness.
integration and
It's a woman of woundedness. No. So, but I feel like, so the narrative, the working with these individuals, our soul contracts with other individuals will help us to balance out and continue along the journey, and that's kind of what we have to recognize. I think people desire so much to be with that individual who gave them the gift of waking up, or waking up this dormant part of themselves. That of course they want to do the work with that individual because they feel like it has to be right, but it's not. And I think, that's the big key in what we offer, is that we're here to guide you through your process. Um, and again, we provide coaching. Now, if men are interested in our coaching as well, we can talk about that. We would do a discovery call to make sure it's the right fit, of course. And then after that, we would let you know what you need to do in order to be our coachee. However, we are exclusively, taking on so many coachees because it's a lot of work, and it's not a watered down process. So you're not going to find us with 500 million coaches watering down a process that should take time and commitment to the individual specifically. So,
mm,
so we are quality over quantity at this point for, our coaches. We want
that's
quality
great.
people that are actually committed to doing the work, um, over a bunch of people, um, and just doing a watered down show here. That's not what we're about. And it wouldn't even be fair to either
Right.
you or us,
Yeah.
really, because we're all about digging deeper, right? So we've done a lot of healing, um, and of course we have credentials to help people through this process. I think a lot of people that without credentials, not that credentials mean things, but credentials do come with a journey. I think that's why people like title, because journals journals, credentials, right? We need to talk about credentials. I think they're very important for understanding what the individual has gone through in order to get here, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so credentials important. And we have credentials to help people, not just credentials, but we have experience. We are the work, right? We are the change. We're not just talking about it, we are actually embodying it. Um,
Hmm.
and so, and we do the work. So, you know, you have question marks. I'm not sure what those question marks are for. Um, but maybe you got off. Not sure. But yes, men are allowed in the room. I'll say that again. Of course, men are allowed. Go back and listen to that part, I guess, because we're coming up on an hour, and we're probably going to end up. But I highly recommend that you go back and maybe listen to this podcast, especially if you're trying to understand Twin Flame, understand what we offer. Our website will be coming out soon. We'll be sharing it. Please follow us on Instagram, Women of Consciousness. You can find us there. And you can, if you are interested in coaching, you can set up a discovery call, at womenofconsciousness@gmail.com. You can go ahead and email us there, and then we can set up a discovery call. We usually do 30-minute discovery call. Make sure it's the right fit. Make sure you're committed to the process, because it's going to be a journey. Definitely you have to commit to. And so there's that. Also, Our website, like I said, will be coming out, but we also have Facebook. So if you want to go to Women of Consciousness on Facebook as well, you can find us there. And then we will be sharing more of our social media links and all that stuff as well. So please like and follow us. We're going to be going live with our big faces. Big face. I'll be doing live videos on Instagram where you see my big old face talking about other stuff, Twin Flame for sure, but also other topics of interest and stuff like that. So please follow us. That would be awesome. And then Pam, anything else before we sign off?
No, it's great to be back. We kind of, started off the new year with a break for a minute and just really focusing on things. So yeah, happy New Year! Like kicking it off strong. And just like you said, there'll be a lot more to come. A lot more announcements, a lot more updates. We're really in that foundational building mode of a really strong structure. So, I guess this is the process, right? It doesn't happen overnight. So you get to at least be on the journey with us if you choose to.
Yes, absolutely. And we hope that you guys, yeah, get on early. You can go back and listen to this. We're going to be posting this. Of course, it goes to the public, and you can go back and kind of listen to it, right? And we definitely would love to have you come on and listen. And so if you came on late, don't feel like you missed out. You can always go back and listen to us. We'll be publishing it as soon as we get off here. And then, uh, and let's see, and what else? Yeah, and that I think that's it. So have a great day. Thanks, Pam, for your final words.
Yeah, thank
And
you.
we love you.
Bye. Love you.
Bye bye.